I'm Rosy Hardy from Hardy's Cottage Garden Plants here in Freefolk, Whitchurch in Hampshire. And we would have been at Chelsea this year to do a display if it had not been for the situation we are in at the moment. So what we're going to do is give you a virtual show of plants that would have been starring on our display at Chelsea. Firstly, ones which like to be in shady conditions, and then I will do some for sunnier conditions and maybe slightly different soils. So we'll start off with a beautiful old-fashioned herbaceous perennial, Saxifraga umbrosa. Beautiful foliage at the bottom here, and then these lovely starry flowers come up, and if you look really closely into the centres, they've got a beautiful soft pink eye to them. Really fabulous, covered in lots and lots of flower at this time of the year. They carry on flowering right the way through, probably about until the end of June. Used to be known as London Pride, but there are quite a few other plants that are known as London Pride. That's why common names are not very good. Saxifraga umbrosa, brilliant in shade, it'll go into sun, moistish soils, and a very easy plant to grow and easy to divide up. Really good plant there. Then if you want something a little bit bigger and a little bit more dramatic, you've got this, a beautiful plant. This is a Silene. Now this Silene is called Silene fimbriata because of these wonderful flowers at the end. So it's one of the bladderwort campions. Lovely soft, almost soft green here. It's a limey colour rather than a dark green always. And then going up, these flowers haven't reached their full height yet. So they're going to carry on as they flower, and they will get up to a height of probably about 1 metre tall. Clumps can be up to 60 to 70 centimetres across. Really fabulous, and they just lighten up a dark area, and they are very easy. They'll grow in dry conditions or damp conditions, but really majestic being this height and also being stretching out up to the light. Really super plants. That is Silene fimbriata. Now another one for height, Valeriana pyrenaea. This is a really super perennial. As you can see, it is very tall. Now if this was from the ground, it would get up to around about my height. So we are talking somewhere between 150 centimetres and 170 centimetres. A lovely panicle of beautiful soft pink flowers on that flower head. Now it doesn't just have the top flower head here, it has side pieces as well, and when it's in full flower it will put on more flowers out of these leaf bases also. Makes a lovely clump. It's not a runner, it stays beautifully, and it will go in shady, dampish positions, and if it likes you it will seed around. The other thing it does, it has the most beautiful soft perfume, which is always better in the evening. So that is a really good tall architectural plant for you. If you want something that's going to run around, then why not go for this? This is Persik by Superba. Look at these beautiful pink heads here, really lovely, and it produces a lot of these, a mass of them. The foliage is brilliant, and it runs around and makes really big clumps. Now this borders on being a thug, and there are occasionally times when people go, oh, I can't possibly put that in my garden because it'll take over. No, what's wrong with a plant that fills the space quickly? All you've got to do is dig it up and split it a little bit more often. But this will grow virtually anywhere, and it will go in shady spots, it will go where you can't get anything else to grow. So a really cracking herbaceous perennial for this time of the year, and it's just going to be a star. And the bees and the butterflies love it as well. Carrying on from there, we then go to something which a lot of people have as favourite plants in their garden. This is the Astrantia. This in Astrantia is Astrantia major Burgundy Manor. This is a cracking plant. We launched it at Chelsea many years ago, around about 2011. And it has lovely dark stems, super dark flowers, and they open up to being really big. Makes a cracking clump and then flowers freely right the way through the summer. Will go in shade, so it's really useful, and it has this dark tinge to its foliage as well. So that's another one to have in your shady borders. Astrantia, Burgundy, Manor. Let's go and change the colours up a bit. Let's go for a Viola. Most people think of violas as being quite small, and normally the little violets are, but this one is Viola Avril Lawson. Viola Avril Lawson has these beautiful large flowers on it, and it is a really super one, and you can see that it's starting to go up. Well, this is one that will climb its way up through hedges. If you don't want it to do that, you give it a good haircut and it will then come back up and it will flower. And again, this has a fabulous perfume. Shade, it is really, really happy, no problem at all, and it's really fantastic. The more you cut it back, the more flower you get, so it repeat flowers right the way through the season, and it will go in virtually any soil type. One to be recommended, Viola Avril Lawson, great ground cover, then straggling its way up through other plant material as well. This one, which stands up quite nicely erect, this is Mellitus. This is Mellitus mellissiphyllum, and this one happens to be one that is called Crimson Distinction, Royal Crimson Distinction, and it has these beautiful white flowers. It's a clump former, so although it looks as though it's quite large around the top, there's not a huge amount at the base, so it'll fit in anywhere. Dry shade. Now that's a really difficult place, but that's where this one will actually do. This is a bred form, named bred form of our native Mellitus. So they are native to this country, really, really useful. Because they're woodlanders, they then get pollinated by things like moths and beetles, etc. So you've got to remember it's good for other insects other than the bees, but a really super plant for this time of the year. This is the Polygonatum hybridum, really, really stunning. So you get these lovely dropped flowers all the way up the stem here, and the leaves are nice and clean going up through, and these clumps will just slowly get bigger, and they just love to be in a woodland shady position. That's where they want to be. Tall, erect, lovely white flowers always show up in the shade. Then to finish off with on our shady stuff, there's nothing wrong with having a little bit of purple foliage, and purple foliage like this on this Actea is really, really good, and it makes a super contrast to a lot of things. It makes things light up, so if you put it with white and pink like that, it looks really good. If you put it against the dark maroon here and the white like that, it also picks all of that up. Now, no, this is not going to be in flower at this time of the year, but you're utilising the beautiful purple contrast foliage to highlight other things. This one is pink spike. It won't be in flower until the autumn, and it has a beautiful fragrant flower which stands nearly 2 meters high. You can then change to these other magnificent hybrid geums that are now being bred, and this one is Scarlet Tempest. Scarlet Tempest we launched about 5 years ago. Look at that beautiful colour, isn't it wonderful? And it just is full of flower. This flowers from March, April, right the way through to September. It's a cracking plant, nice and compact, around about 45 to 60 centimetres high by about the same across. And that in your garden is just going to brighten up any place. Full sun, reasonable soil, it's a happy plant, and it will just keep on going for you. If you want one slightly taller, then you can't go far wrong than Geum Totally Tangerine. Again, another one we launched at Chelsea, and once we launched this at Chelsea, you see this in nearly every single Chelsea garden. And because it is just a cracking plant, it is out on time. You don't have to do a huge amount of bringing it in, taking it out and forcing it into flower. It just naturally flowers for Chelsea and then carries on right the way through the year, and it gets taller and taller and taller, and it is a middle to the back of the border beautiful plant. That is Geum Totally Tangerine. If you don't want the bright colours as much, then you can go for some quite beautiful pinks, and this is a wonderful Centuria. Centuria montana, and this one is called Joyce. Lovely big flowers, isn't it? It's a really, really super form. Now, unlike your other Centuria montanas, it does not run ragged around the place. It slowly gets bigger, and it's a cracker because not only do you get the first flowers here, you get more flower down here and more coming down, so you just need a dead head and it will keep on blooming through till probably mid-end of July. Full sun, free draining soil. It does not want to be overwatered and it doesn't want to be overfed. So a very easy plant to keep going in your borders. Salvias are another really, really good plant. They are cracking forms of them out there. This one is just a softer colour. It is Salvia nemorosa crystal blue, and it is a lovely soft blue, upright, erect. It holds itself there, up to around about 50 centimetres high, about 50 centimetres across, and it just keeps on blooming, keeps on blooming. Once the first flush of flower has been, give it a haircut. Another flush of flower comes through, give it a haircut. So you can keep it going right the way through. It's good to have some of these softer colours. A lot of the other nemorosa types are really quite harsh blues, and there are places for soft colours, there are places for harsh colours. Really dependent on what you want to grow in your garden. Don't be worried about whether something goes with another thing. If that's what you like, grow it.